March 17, 2026, the Second Iran War has entered a terminal phase for the Islamic Republic's military infrastructure. As the sun sets over the Persian Gulf, the roar of four powerful General Electric F-101 engines echoes across the region, signaling the arrival of the U.S. Air Force's most formidable heavy hitter. Under Operation Epic Fury, the Pentagon has officially activated a massive fleet of B-1B Lancer bombers, affectionately known as the Bone, to deliver what many are calling the final blow to the regime's strategic capabilities. This escalation marks a shift from precision strike surgical operations to a campaign of total atmospheric dominance. With nearly a dozen B-1Bs now operating out of RAF Fairford in the United Kingdom and others flying grueling 36-hour round-trip sorties from the continental United States, the window for an Iranian diplomatic exit is slamming shut. The Bone unleashed. Why the B-1B is the endgame. While the F-35 served as the quarterbacks and the Tomahawks as the snipers, the B-1B Lancer represents this sledgehammer. Military analysts point to three reasons why the activation of the Lancer fleet spells the end for Iran's conventional military. 1. Unmatched payload. A single B-1B can carry up to 75,000 pounds of internal ordnance. In a single pass, a flight of Lancers can saturate a sprawling missile production facility or an entire underground IRGC bunker complex with more firepower than an entire carrier air wing. 2. Speed and survival. Despite its size, the B-1B is a supersonic lowrider. Capable of Mach 1.25, it uses its terrain-following radar to scream across the Iranian landscape at altitudes low enough to bypass residual radar detection, dropping its payload before the regime's aging air defenses can even cycle their radars. 3. Dwell time and flexibility. Operating from bases outside the reach of Iranian retaliatory missiles, these bombers can loiter over the battle space for hours. They are currently being used to hunt targets of opportunity, mobile missile launchers, and IRGC convoys attempting to hide in the jagged terrain of the Zagros Mountains. The destruction of the industrial heart. The latest reports from CENTCOM indicate that the B-1B missions have been focused on total systemic erasure. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth confirmed that the primary objective of this week's bomber runs is the permanent destruction of Iran's ballistic missile production capacity. Just last night, our bomber force hit a large ballistic missile factory, stated Admiral Brad Cooper, commander of U.S. Central Command. We are targeting both current and future threats. The regime's wider manufacturing apparatus is being dismantled. Targets successfully neutralized in the last 48 hours include the Parchin Complex. Strategic bomber strikes have reportedly leveled several key buildings at this sensitive site. Khojar and Modars. Massive explosions were detected via satellite at these major missile manufacturing hubs, suggesting that the B-1Bs utilized GBU-31 dams to reach reinforced assembly lines. Coastal bastions, in coordination with the USS Tripoli and its Marine Expeditionary Unit, B-1Bs have been systematically combing the coastline, vaporizing anti-ship cruise missile sites that threaten the Strait of Hormuz. A regime in the dark. The psychological impact of the B-1Bs arrival cannot be overstated. Since the conflict began on February 28th, the Iranian leadership, now led by Mojtaba Khamenei following the wounding or assassination of his father, has attempted to project an image of steadfast resistance. However, the sheer volume of high-explosive ordnance being delivered by the Lancers has triggered a capability shock. With 90% of their missile production capacity reportedly in ruins and the Air Force, IRIAF, effectively non-existent, the regime has been forced to rely on phony kamikaze boats and desperate social media propaganda. President Trump's administration has capitalized on this, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio stating, "The hardest hits are yet to come. We will continue until the threat is permanently extinguished." The internal stability of the regime is further threatened by the Artesh, regular army, seeing a spike in desertions. Soldiers are beginning to realize that no amount of revolutionary zeal can stop a 2,000-pound satellite-guided bomb launched from a platform they can neither see nor hear until it is too late. The global and humanitarian fallout. As the B-1Bs continue their relentless sorties, the cost of the war is being felt globally. The Strait of Hormuz remains a graveyard of sunken Iranian mine layers and damaged tankers. While the U.S. has successfully protected most commercial shipping via the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Group, the risk of a stray Iranian strike on regional energy hubs keeps the world's markets in a state of hypervolatility. In Tehran, the situation is increasingly desperate. Internet blackouts are near total, and the regime has reportedly begun targeting individuals with Starlink access to prevent the flow of information. Human rights organizations like Hrana report that the death toll has surpassed 3,000, as the conflict shifts from surgical strikes to a total dismantling of the state's security apparatus. The final countdown. The activation of the B-1B fleet is the clearest signal yet that the United States is not looking for a stalemate. By shifting the bulk of the air campaign to heavy bombers, the Pentagon is moving toward a decapitation phase, where the regime's ability to govern, communicate, or defend itself is stripped away layer by layer. As this second Iran war enters its third week, the question is no longer if the regime will fall, but how much will be left when the smoke finally clears. For the leadership in Tehran, the sonic boom of the B-1B isn't just a military sound. It is the sound of an era ending. The tactical shift toward heavy bombardment reflects a cold, mathematical calculation by the Pentagon. The exhaustion of the enemies will through the absolute erasure of their industrial base. The B-1B Lancer, with its specialized low-altitude penetration capability, is currently systematically dismantling the hardened infrastructure that was once thought to be immune to standard airstrikes. Deep Earth penetrator munitions are now reaching into the subterranean missile cities of the Zagros Mountains, turning once secure bunkers into tomb-like structures for the IRGC's remaining technical elite. This is no longer a battle of attrition. It is a rapid-fire dismantling of a nation's ability to function as a modern military power. The silence from Tehran is perhaps the most telling indicator of this decapitation phase. As the B-1Bs sever the fiber optic nodes and satellite relays that connect the central command to regional outposts, the Iranian military is fracturing into isolated, confused cells. Local commanders are reportedly operating without guidance, leading to a chaotic and uncoordinated response that only simplifies the task for U.S. and allied targeting officers. On the ground, the psychological effect of these 36-hour global power sorties is devastating. The constant, low-frequency hum of high-altitude bombers creates a state of perpetual dread, signaling to every level of the Iranian government that the red lines of the past have been completely rewritten. By the time the smoke clears, the Islamic Republic will likely find itself stripped of the very tools, missiles, drones, and nuclear aspirations that it once used to leverage its influence on the global stage.